Hello everybody, you are welcome. So today I want to show you how to take a full body measurement for your project. If you're a beginner, this is one of the first things you're going to learn. So first of all, I'm going to start with introducing our different types of measurements. We have the vertical measurement, which is from shoulder to, wherever you want. And then we have the horizontal measurement, which is like this. So these are the measurements we have. All horizontal measurements are usually divided by 4 because you fold your fabric into 2 and into 4. So when you fold your fabric, you have 4 sides. This side, then the back, also 2 sides. Now, when it comes to vertical measurements, it's exactly what it is. When you get from this to this is 10, that's exactly what you place on your fabric because your length is just 1. So the 2 measurements that are usually divided by 2 are usually the nipple to nipple measurement, which is also called the bust span, and on the shoulder measurement, which is taken like this. The widest part of your shoulder, the top part of your shoulder, that is how this is taken. So these 2 measurements are usually divided by 2. Most people's measurement is usually 16 and they divide by 2, making it 8. Some people's measurement is 15. When they divide by 2, it gives them 7.5. So whatever you get, basically you divide it by 2. Now we have 2 parts of our tape. We have the inches part of the tape, which is wider and more used around Nigeria and other countries. Then we have the centimeters part of it. Nigerians and the UK use inches more, and then the Americans, they use centimeters more. Now centimeters is more specific. You can get more precise measurements with centimeters because the lines are way slimmer, they are way close together. The inches line are wide apart, so you can get differences in like very little centimeters. But if you're in Nigeria or in India or I don't know what other countries or the UK, inches is what we use the more. But it doesn't really necessarily, it gives you the measurements that are okay that you can use to go. But if you come to like very precise measurements, you might need your centimeters. So let's start with the first measurement that you place on your pattern. Is usually the shoulder measurement, and you place it from the point of your arm that ends like the sharpest point of your arm to the other one. And this Alita, she has 16 inches. That is her shoulder measurement. So she has 16 inches. So when you're placing it on your tape, when you're placing it on your pattern rather, you're going to put 8 inches because it's 16 divided by 2. Remember what I said. So after placing that, this is the first horizontal measurement you are placing. You're going to place your vertical measurement first before your horizontal measurement because this will guide you on where to place your horizontal measurement. So when you get like from here to waist and you see that your waist is 17, you're going to place it on your fabric and use that exact measurement. You know where you're going to place your waist measurement. So when you want to measure, you start from the highest part of the shoulder, between the neck and the shoulder, and then you measure from shoulder to how deep you want your neck line to be, so that the neck depth of whatever dress you're making. So the standard measurement is 3 inches. You can see that 3 is right here, so your neck will stop here. The more down you go, the more deep your neck. Some people go as far as 8.5 inches because they want the cleavage to show. So that is it. So the neck depth depends on what style you're making. Then here we can have, when you want to measure your armhole depth, you can start like this. For Alita is 6 inches. But if you want to get the measurement, you use your round bust measurement divided by 6, then you add 1.5. That would give you the perfect armhole to place. So the armhole line, whatever you get from here to here, would be your chest line. You can see that the chest is here. So when we place our measurement from this to this, we can see that this is the bust point. That's your nipple. So here we have 10 inches. So from the nipple, we go to the under bust. And here we have 12.5 inches. So this is our under bust. From the under bust, you measure from here to your waist. Her own is 16.5 or 16 inches. Now you can just place it like this and to give you the same measurement. So you measure from your shoulder to the slimmest part of your torso, which is your waist. Or some people's own is a little bit above their navel, and some people's own is, you know, on the navel. But for this lady, we have it above, 2 inches above the navel. So here we have our 16.5 inches. From here, you're going to come down to your hip line. So when you want to get your hip line, some will just come from the waist and they measure down 8 inches, 9 inches. So I'm going to come to this side. You measure here to, her own is 25 inches. So that is what we have, 25 inches. Then from here, we measure down to the knee line, which we have 40.1 inches. That's depending on if you want to make a gown or you want to make a long gown. That's when you know where to snatch. Even though when you're making a long gown, you come up by 2 inches. From here, we're getting the full length of our dress. And this is 60 inches. It's not long enough. So I'm going to place it where it stopped. And I'm going to come down. So her own will be 63.5 inches. So we're done with the vertical measurement. Now, when we come to the horizontal measurement, you're going to place your tape like this. Round the person's chest like this. Let me get my tape like this. Place it like this. And then here, this is what we have, 32.5. Some people use the under bust measurement, but you don't have to, because whatever you get from your bust, just connect it to your waist and give you the under bust. So here we have 27 inches sharp. When it comes to the waistline, we're going to measure here, and here we have 24.25. Here, 24.25. When it comes to the hip, usually your client will not be standing like this. Your client is not posing. Your clients are usually standing straight, right? So this is your round. Her round hip is 34 inches. So when you come to the knee, you just place whatever you have on your hip. That will give you your knee measurement. Then when it comes to making a trouser, you make your client just the way she's raising her leg like this. That's what you do. So you measure like this. From the back of the leg, like from here. Then you measure like this. So here I have 14 inches. This is so that your trouser will be able to enter, so that you will not have problems when you're wearing your trouser. So let's come to the sleeve. For the sleeve, you place your measurement here, exactly where your shoulder measurement stopped. Then you get the length of your sleeve, depending on how you want it. A short sleeve ranges from 4 inches to 8 inches. It just all depends on you. Then when you come to your elbow, you make the person fold their elbow like this. That's when you take measurement like this. So that when they wear the dress, they can do this, except if the fabric is very stretchy. But when you're working with non-stretchy fabric, you make them do this. So you measure from here to here, and then you measure down to the full length. Her full length of her sleeve is 22 inches. So when you're measuring your wrist, your hand would have to pass through your dress, right? Through the sleeve. So you measure your round wrist like this. So mine is 9 inches. So I'm going to divide that by 2, 4.5 on the dress. So when you're taking the measurement of the round wrist, you make the person fist like this. Don't throw any punches, oh please. So for the arm too, you measure your round bicep. So that you know how wide you want your arm to be. Yeah, so this is what we have. So when you're making the top for guys, because you know this senator, it always tightens the neck. So you just do this and you have your round, but you put your hand in between the tape. So for if I'm making something for her now, I'll make it 13.5 inches because that is how her body is. So when you're making a bustier, you need when you're making a corset, the waistline on the front is usually 2 inches longer than the waistline on the back. But when you're making a skirt, the waistline of the back is usually 1 or 1.5 inches or 2 inches higher than the front. So when you're taking a skirt measurement, let me check if this thing is still working. When you're taking your skirt measurement, most people like their skirt to start here, but you ask your client where they want it to start. So you start your measurement from here, from waist to hips. Here we have 8 inches. Then hip to the length of the skirt, hip to knee, and hip to the whatever length you want it. So here we have 47 inches. So when you get that, then you're going to measure your round waist. Her round waist is 24.5, but for skirts you might come down a little and make it 26 inches. That's her skirt round waist. Then here you're going to measure the hip. Do you understand? And then on the knee line, on the knee part of the skirt, you're going to just put your hip measurement. Then if it's a long skirt, just go down. For that one, you definitely put a slit, and your slit would go as high as this, stop at your knee, or 2 inches above the knee, so that you can be able to walk. So on the skirt, you use your bust span as well. So her bust span here is 7.5 inches. You divide that 7.5 by 2, and that's when you know where to place your dart, because you're placing your dart on your skirt depending on the kind of skirt you want to make. So yes, that is how you measure for skirt. When you want to make a trouser, you measure your waist to crotch, and your crotch, you can just go round like this, or you can just sit down and measure from when you're seated down, you measure from your waist to the chair. Or some people just use their round hips divided by 4, and that's what they put for their crotch. For your pants, you measure from waist to crotch and you waist to hip. Then you also measure from waist to knee and waist to the hem of the trouser. So when you do that, from your waist to the hem of the trouser, then you measure your round hem like this, and that's where you place it. So you measure also your round hip, then you measure your round lap too. So depending on how tight you want the trouser to be, so you get your round lap. In the chubbiest part of your lap, this is what you get. Then you can also get your round knee measurement. That's 13 inches. Some people go extra and you get your round calf measurement. You get it? So that is it for how to take measurements. Now, these are the basic ones that you need. Do let me know if you have any measurement questions and what projects we should do next. I think to start from the basics, because it's always good to know why things are done the way they are done, so that you can be able to change them when you want. Knowing why things are done the way they are done gives you creative freedom and the allowance to like play around and all that. So all these measurements that I just did, you're going to add allowance as necessary, seaming allowance. So your seaming allowance goes anything from half an inch to an inch, so that you don't want too much. Or if it's a fabric, if it's a cloth that you want to wear for a period of time, you can go more than that. And if it's a loose dress, you can add up to 2 inches allowance to whatever measurements that you have. But you're adding allowance to the length, to the horizontal, to the vertical measurement is not necessary. You only add allowance to your horizontal measurements. So thank you so much for joining me. My name is Jolita Aaron Damap, and this is Alita. Alita is a name that my niece used to call me when she was small, before she started learning how to talk. She used to say Lita. That's how she learned. Then she started saying Alita before she started saying Auntie Jolita. So That is why I love that name so much. And I wish you would just call me. I wish you would just stay like that so that she'll be calling me that name because I love it so much. Thank you so much for joining me. Do have a fabulous day. Ta-ta.